No sound. There's no sound. Oh, now there's some sound.
Now you can hear.
Yes. Baruch Hashem. Okay, thank you.
Who is that? Who are you?
Bina. It's Bina.
Oh, Bina. I wondered what happened to you. Okay, welcome back. So
Thank
all
you.
the letters, the point is that all the letters which express the ideas, what are we saying? That this is the great overwhelming concept that answers the question, if Hashem is infinite, how can he connect to us? Because we are very limited in our being. We have physical bodies which are not sensitive to godliness. And as much as they're sensitive, it's with a limit. You only have a certain IQ. You only have a certain degree of sensitivity. So gesund. And the answer is, here's the secret. Get your pens and pencils ready. Tzimtzum, T-Z-I-Z. T-Z-I, see? T-Z again. U-M. Tzimtzum. Tzimtzum is a word that describes this process, a mystical process by which Hashem is mitzamtzem himself into the letters of the Torah and gives them to us. And not just the letters of the Torah, and the letters of the Torah contain his wisdom and his will, which is, his wisdom is his chokhmah, his will is called ratzon, his willpower. And they are one thing with him. They're not separate things. Your wisdom is a separate thing from you because you weren't born with wisdom. You acquired it. You learned. Some people went to Ghana to learn law. They learned. You learned it. You acquired something. Hashem didn't acquire anything to become wise. He didn't need a teacher. But his wisdom is one thing with him. He revealed his wisdom to us in the mitzvahs of the Torah, which is 613, Tariag, and in the details of these mitzvahs, which are in words, and the words are in letters, and we were saying that the letters themselves are so holy that when we see that two words have similar letters, shows us a connection. And we gave a couple of examples. One example was like the land, the idea of ratzoin. Ratzoin means willpower. Okay, now that sounds sort of like the word for the land of Israel's Eretz. We have the word ratz, the little word within the bigger word. Ratz. The word ratz means to run. So we have the word ratz in Eretz, and ratz is run, and ratz is ratzoin is willpower. And this tells us about the land of Israel, that it's a land that runs to do the will of God. This is the inner nature of Israel. So if you go to the land of Israel, you have to be that you are in a land that the inner essence of this land, the influence of this land upon a person is that he should run, he should want to quickly, hastily run to do the will of God. And if so, then he's going to be in harmony with all the influences that are available to him in that land, which are not available in other lands. And why is that? Because the eyes of Hashem are on the land of Israel the whole time, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, and that causes that. No, we take the idea, we've had this before, Shema. We say Shema every morning, we say Shema every night. Shema is made up of three letters, Shin, Mem, Ayin. Do I have to write that on the board? No. Anybody want that written on the board? Raise your hand now or forever hold your peace. Shin, Mem, Ayin stands for three words. Su'u, lift up. Maroim, on high is the Mem. Ayin is your eyes. Lift up your eyes on high. That's what I say. Some of you, we have some new girls in the class from the last month or so. So this is an exercise that I gave to the girls from the first day, that when you come to class, look up. Lift up your eyes on high. And the pasuk continues, the verse continues, and behold, you lift up your eyes, you're going to see something. What are you going to see? You're going to see who created all this. You can see the heavens and say, whoa, I couldn't have created that. So here's another example of the holiness that's contained within the letters. And how do we learn about this? We learn about this through the teachings of the sages, which are called agadatas. Agada means a relation, like the Haggadah of Pesach. And through Midrashim, Medrash is the teachings of the sages. It's called in English homiletics. I don't know what homiletics means. I know better what Medrash means. Medrash is lessons and things that we learn out about how to behave. And Midrashim give explanations behind the psukim. For instance, here's a beautiful Medrash that we learned just the other day about Yaakov. Why did Yaakov wear skins on his arms and neck when he went to get blessings from his father, Yitzchak? Because his father went blind. Why did his father go blind? So the Medrash tells us his father went blind because when Abraham took him up on the mountain as a sacrifice, without revealing to him they didn't want him to kill him, just wanted him to take him up to test his willpower. So Yitzchak was lying there on the altar that Abraham built. He built an altar. An altar is he gathered stones to make like a fireplace. Only it was flat. It was, stones all the way up. And he tied up Yitzchak and put him on top of the wood, made a wood pile to burn. And they put Yitzchak on top of the wood. And he took a big knife, like to kill a cow. And he's going to slaughter his son. And it doesn't make any sense, but he's doing it because Hashem told him to do it. And the angels in heaven are screaming, no, this shouldn't happen. And it says they even cried. And the tears fell in the eyes of Yitzchak. And over a period of time, that made him go blind. That's a medrash. Rashi brings it as pshat, but he's not entirely satisfied with it as pshat because we don't know about angels crying, how the angels cry physical tears that make people go blind. So therefore, Rashi has to bring another explanation, which is that his daughters-in-law that Esav married, that Yitzchak's son, his granddaughters-in-law were sacrificing incense to idols. And Yitzchak could not tolerate idol worship. And the smoke made him go blind. But that's not entirely satisfactory either, because they were in a different building. But anyway, the point is that this is fascinating, inspiring information that we get from the sages in Midrashim and in Agadah that tell the story, behind the lines. Now you know the rest of the story, like they say on the radio. So Hashem condenses his will and wisdom into the letters of the Torah and into the letters of the whole of the Tanakh, which is Torah and Nevi'im and Kesuvim, and into the teachings of the sages, the Agadatas and the Midrashim, so that with our intellect, we can get a handle on them and we can learn them. Bottom of page 84, look, so that we can understand, even not just with our neshama, which is the highest level of our soul which is more sensitive to these things and can appreciate these things, but even on lower levels of our soul, like the ruach, the spirit, and the nefesh, which is very, very involved with your physical body. And the neshama is not so involved with your physical body. It's much too high. And your body is much too insensitive, far too insensitive for the neshama. It says only the heels of your neshama come into your body. So the prophet says about the Jews going out of Egypt, how beautiful were your steps in shoes. What do you mean your steps in shoes? That means that the neshama was too high to be elect. The shoes are your body's like a shoe, and the neshama in your body is like the heel. The heel is very insensitive in your physical body. But for Hashem, he says, how beautiful it was, your steps and shoes, that you followed me into the wilderness with no food and no water and no transportation. And you went with your wives and your children and your animals, and you just followed me into the desert because I said, we're going out of Egypt. We're going out of bondage forever, forever, forever. We're never going to be enslaved again. And you went. It was so moving to Hashem. Like a young man who's just so fantastically in love with his wife, not because of her physical beauty. Her physical beauty becomes transformed, or whatever she looks like becomes transformed into physical beauty because of her beautiful deeds. You know, when you see somebody behave beautifully with kindness, they become very beautiful in your eyes. Like the movie stars, you see them in the drugstores on these magazines. They're always getting married and divorced and having relationships and so on. And their physical beauty is hardly, not even skin deep, because there's no substance underneath it. There's no goodness beneath, inside. It's just selfishness. And but when people behave with kindness, they become very, very beautiful in the eyes of the beholder. And this is what Hashem says, how beautiful were your steps and shoes, that you followed me into the wilderness. Okay, so by means of these revelations on lower and lower and lower levels, so we can come to get a grasp on godliness, even down to the lowest levels of our being, which is our thoughts. And we can express it even in our words when we learn, like in this class, and in what we do by putting our learning into practice through doing actions. But Al Yad, page 85, Al Yadei Zeh, so what happens? Tislabesh, the wisdom and the will of God, becomes enclosed. The whole Eser B'chinei Seh. Now we learned that the DNA of a person is the 10 sephiros, the 10 holy aspects of the soul. 3 intellectual powers and 7 emotional powers. And through our involvement with the Tariag mitzvahs of the Torah, in the Torah, with the letters and the words and the teachings of the sages, so the holiness of God becomes enclosed the whole Eser B'chinei Seh in all of the 10 aspects of our being, and in the Shlosh Levushim Elu, and in the 3 garments that our soul desires, which are thought, speech, and action. End of this idea. Sub-chapter. Now we start the next chapter in this chapter, sub-chapter, subheading in this chapter. Therefore, now we can understand what it says, another teaching of the sages that helps us to understand what's going on here, that the Torah is compared to water. What is the nature of water? Let's think for a second. Chaya Menashe, what is the nature of water? Someone asks you from Mars, someone from Mars comes and says, we don't have any water on Mars. What is water? What is it? You have a lot of water here. What is it? What is this water? How would you answer?
Water, it's like, they give us power.
Can't hear you. What?
It's something that gives us power.
It gives us power. Can we have water? Yeah, you have water, hydroelectric, water power. Water flows down, right? We get electricity from water.
We have we can a lot of things.
What?
We can a lot of things with water.
I can't hear you. A lot of things with water. What?
We can do a lot of things with water.
Like what?
Like take a shower.
Like take a shower. So water will cleanse. Water cleanses. What else can we do with water? What? Who said cook? We can cook with water, right? We can heat it up. and cook with it.
Guys, it kills.
She's trying to kill things over here.
You can kill things with water.
Yeah, it's like both so good and so bad. Like you can do so many great
Mamash,
things with it.
Oh, right.
All just,
If
like,
you have
awesome.
a flood, or you have a tsunami,
Dang it.
yeah. Water is tremendously powerful. It's a huge power. The sailors go down to the sea in ships. They know. Sailors are by definition God-fearing, because at any minute a storm can blow up and dash their ship, threaten their lives. What else do we know about water? What's the nature of water?
Just like trickles all over.
What?
It goes to
it
the
goes-
deepest places.
Yeah, it trickles all over.
It trickles. That means it goes down.
Yeah, it goes from the highest to the lowest.
Yes, water goes from a high place to a low place. That's the nature of water. Not like fire. Fire is the opposite. Fire goes up. Water comes from a high place to a low place. So why is the Torah compared to water? Because the Torah comes from the highest place of God's wisdom, and it comes down to the lowest place, which is our brains. No, it's true. I heard the Rebbe even once say that no matter how low a person may be or may feel about themselves, the Torah will seek to be with him, because the nature of water is to seek out the lowest place.
That's comforting.
So Torah seeks to be in every person, in every situation. Because the nature of water and the nature of water also, how do you know is a thing is wet? I have a towel. Someone used it. Is it still wet?
It's dark.
Huh?
It's darker.
It's darker. How can I feel if it's still wet?
Water like comes up onto your hand.
Yes, if water is something is wet, it will make your hand wet. That is a very brilliant definition. In fact, it's from the sages. Water is something that makes something else wet. And since Torah is compared to water, and you learn Torah, and it was nourishing to you, because we always have to drink water. Look, everybody's got water in front of them. Everybody has their bottle or their cup. We have to drink water all the time. When Reb Levi Yitzchak, the Rebbe's father, was sent into exile, 3 days he was on a train without water. And when he finally got water, the same story is told of Rebbe Akiva. When he finally got water, you know what he did? Well, he didn't drink it. He washed his hands. Because to be able to pray to Hashem was more important. So if we learn Torah, then we have the wetness within us. That's called lachluchis, wetness. Torah gives wetness. If you have Torah, you have wetness. And when you talk to somebody else, you make them wet. And if you don't make them wet, you know, if like you leave them high and dry, so to speak, that means that you didn't give over the Torah to them that you have, or maybe you didn't have it in the first place. So you have to learn it again till you really get it. And then you tell your friend and they'll get very excited because everybody likes a good drink. And Torah is water, like water. So now we understand why Torah is compared to water, because just like water comes from a very high place, so on the middle of page 85, the Torah comes from the place of Hashem's glory, Hashem's honor, the highest level of godliness is where the Torah sources from. Those are the source waters of the Torah, just like the waters of the Nile, the longest river. I think the Nile is the longest river, or maybe the Amazon is longer, but it's the longest river and it floods Egypt every year. The waters flood when the snows in the mountains where it originates melt in the spring, and the Nile floods, and it goes in canals and irrigates the whole of Egypt. Whereas in Israel, we don't have irrigation. We didn't in the old days. Now they have through machines. But in the old days, they depended on rain. They had to pray to God for water. So, but the water comes from the highest levels of godliness, which we understand even physically. The water comes from water vapor, which is way up high. And then it condenses and it comes down as rain, and it goes, like you said, trickles down, 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 all the way to this world. So the Torah comes from the highest place of godliness in spiritual terms. Say, what is this highest place of godliness? Is the will of God and the wisdom of God. This is the highest levels on which God is revealed. And God and his wisdom and his willpower are one thing. Now here's a new idea. No thought can grasp godliness. No thought can grasp godliness because it's infinite. As much as you understand, you don't grasp even anything compared to what we're looking at for. If a person wants to research and find the source of godliness, will he find it? He won't. But the Torah comes from that level that no thought can comprehend, down like water, stage after stage after stage, until it's possible to actually enter our mind and our heart. And from this lofty level, it travels. The Torah travels like water, v'yarda, and it descends. And through this is the mystery of the down-chaining levels of life behind creation, the underpinnings of creation. From level to level, in the great chain of life that we described before, link after link after link, that the bottom of one chain becomes the top of the next. Page 86, this is called hishtalshalus. There's the word on the top of the page in italics. You see it? Page 86 at the top. Hishtalshalus means the down chaining of life. Like a shalshelis is a chain. Until this life can become enclosed with Dvarim Gashmiim. And so here we cross over the border from spirituality to physicality until the life and the energy of the wisdom and the will of God becomes enclosed in the physical world by telling us mitzvahs to do. And all the mitzvahs we do with physical things. A candle made of wax and string, and a match made of wood and sulfur, and a box to strike it on. All these physical objects become expressions of the will and the wisdom of God. What an enormous descent from the place of God's glory on high down to the candle on the mantelpiece or on the Shabbos table. And it comes down into physical things, shehin roiv mitzvahs kakulam, which all the mitzvahs of the Torah, girls, all the mitzvahs of the Torah are done in physical objects. And you say, what do you mean, love of God is a mitzvah? That's not a physical object. Oh, yes, it is. It's a feeling in your heart, and it can be measured. Like all your feelings. That's the whole concept of the lie detector. They can tell through the fluctuations of the heart. If you're telling the truth, you're telling a lie. And it comes down not only into physical objects, it comes down into letters, physical letters. We just spoke about letters. What do you mean physical letters? I mean physical letters that you write on parchment, ink on paper, ink on parchment. Making books, 24 books of the Torah, of the prophets, and the writings, so that every person with his thought, speech, and deed will be able to grasp Hashem. We'll continue from this tomorrow. Now you see why it's such an inspiring chapter. I read that chapter. I said, sign me up. And now, having had a drink, Bina Brodkin, we have to say a bracha achrena. So I
Okay.
have a handy bracha's guide here. Rikas Hamazin, Borin the Fashes, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Borin the Fashes, Rabbos v'Tosreinan, Al Kel Moshe Barasim Lahu Hayes Bahem Nefesh Kol Hayim. If you watch the videos, girls, you see a Farbrengen. You see at the end of the Farbrengen, the beginning of the Farbrengen, the Rebbe has a piece of, drinks a little wine, and then he has a piece of cake. And hours later, when the Farbrengen is over, and they sing all the Nigunim, and the Rebbe's getting ready to leave, he takes his siddur, he opens his siddur, and he says a bracha in the siddur before he gets up. And that's not just part of the Farbrengen, that's a teaching, just like everything the Rebbe says is a teaching. So everything he does is also a teaching. We have to learn from that too.
Thank you.
It's very important to learn brachas by heart, but once you know them by heart, don't say them by heart. You have to look inside and say them.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. Look how beautiful it's turning out to be.
Yeah.